Hey everybody, and welcome back. Well, it's Monday today, so you know what that means, right? It's a Deep Dive Monday. Here we go. Alright guys, well, welcome back to another deep dive tutorial, and today we're going to be talking about selections, how to select things, okay? Quite a few options. First of all, how would you typically select, let's say, a face, an edge, a vertex, or an object? Well, what you do is you hover over your object, you right click, and you go to either face, vertex, edge, or object, right? And then when you select that, you are now in object mode. If you go to edge, you are now in edge mode. Go to face, face mode, and go to vertex, vertex mode. Now that's one method, right? Now, in one of my recent videos, I showed you guys the modeling toolkit, and I'll just do a quick recap on that. So if you open that up, you got the options here to go to object mode, vertex mode, edge mode, face mode, and even UV shell mode, right? Okay. But if you click on this multi-component button, you have these three. So what does that mean? Well, if you hover over your object with that selected, whenever you go over a face, it will be selected. If you go over a edge, it will be selected. And if you go over a vertex, it will be selected. Once you turn that off, that is no longer the case, and you will have to right click and go to face or edge or whatnot, okay? So that's how that works. So what about just regular straightforward selections? Well, that is this guy on the left here, the top arrow. So if you just click on that, you will have the default. If you double click on it and open it, you'll have this menu right here, and I'll just quickly hit reset so we're all on the same page. So what do we got? We got marquee select, we got drag select, and we both have the option here to use camera based selection. So let's look at that first, okay? So if I'll just move this out of the way here. All right, so if we look at the default settings here, we have the option to do the marquee select. So what does that mean? Well, basically I left click and drag a square, and whatever is in that square is selected, okay? So if I'm in, let's say, face mode, whatever I select will become selected as a face. Same thing in edge mode and so forth, right? Now, what if I go to drag mode? Well, in drag mode, and I'll just go to vertex here, I can actually just paint over my object, and every area I touch, I will have a selection, okay? So that's the difference between the two. And the camera-based selection is based on where your camera is at. Now, right now, we have the default camera where we're looking at our object here. But if you got multiple cameras set up in your scene, you can use a specific camera and then select something based on the view of that camera, okay? So what else? Well, I'm going to leave this alone. This is not something that you would touch on a lot, at least I don't. Maybe with the exception of highlight back faces. So for example, if you're doing a selection of a cube on the front, you have a face on the back as well, the back face, and you can have the option to have that highlighted or not, right? So what's important though is this soft selection option here. I usually don't open this menu because I use a shortcut for that. Let me just get a quick new cube here. So I would hit B on my keyboard to select that. Well, what does that do? Well, if I right click and go to vertex and select this vertex right here, hit W to move that around, and now you're seeing my move tool, of course, but that's fine. If I hit B for soft select, right, I got my selection turned on. And let me just open that menu so you guys can see that, right? Okay, so soft select. When I hit B, I turn on this soft select right here, okay? Now, if I hit W to move this, right? And I can't do that at the same time because now I'm in the move tool. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So what happens here is once I move this around, because I have soft select turned on, it manipulates the entire cube, right? So if I hit B to turn that off, it will only be that one vertex. If I hit B to turn that on, and even hold down B and left click and drag to have a larger impacted area, you can see that that works, okay? So let's just hit Control Z to go back to our regular cube and open up that selection tool. All right, so there you go, that's that soft select. Now we got a curve here, and I talked about this in the modeling toolkit as well, that will allow you to change how it looks once you, for example, move a pattern of vertices, and you can tweak that and pull that around. But we're not going to do that right now because I did that in a previous video. You can change the colors of the impacted range as well. Pretty straightforward stuff. And then you got the symmetry settings. You can turn that on if you like, and then if you're manipulating one side, it will manipulate the other side as well. You can set up a tolerance for whatever you're manipulating and so forth. Again, nothing really fancy there. However, when it comes to selections, there are a couple of neat little things that I want to show you guys, and just want to make sure that nothing is selected here. Okay, so I'll need something that has a little bit more subdivision. So let's get rid of this. Let's do I don't know, we'll do a cylinder. I'll go in here and we'll set this up. Let's do some subdivision in height and caps as well. Okay, we'll close that up. So we got this guy, and I'm going to go in here. I'm going to right click at a face and click and shift double click to make a selection, right? Now, what if I want to increase that selection without clicking individual faces? Well, what I tend to do in my videos is I hold down the shift key and I hit the period or point button. And as I do that, it increases my selection. If I want to go back, I can hold down the shift and hit the comma key. And that will do that. Now, it's kind of neat. The problem is, though, that it will expand in all directions. So again, if I got this going on here and I hit shift period, it's going to go in all directions. But maybe I don't want that. Let's say I want to have a selection like this. That's kind of tricky because, like I said, it will go everywhere, right? So we've got some options there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to select, and we're going to look at this section right here. Grow along curve, shrink along curve. That's what I want to talk about, okay? Now you got these symbols here. You got these little little hats on their side, okay? Pointing to the right and pointing to the left. So let's see how that works. Okay, we're gonna go in here and I'm gonna click on this and shift double click right there. And I'm gonna hit that little pointy hat pointing to the right. So hold down shift and do that. And as you can see, increasing my selection. And I'm gonna hold down shift and the little hat the other way around. And there you go, decreasing my selection or shrinking my selection. Okay, pretty neat. But what about the other one? What about the path thing? Okay, so select and shrink along loop or grow along loop. Let's try that. So let's say we'll do an edge here. Let's say I got this edge right here. Okay, if I hit shift period, it's going to increase in all directions, as you can see, and I don't want that. So go back and go back. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to select and I'm going to hit grow along loop. And in that situation, you can see it's perfectly going just on where that edge is selected. Now, the cool thing about this is when I hit W to, let's say, move this out, and I got this impacted area going on, and I go up there to select and I grow along a loop, it will increase that selection, which will allow me to go on and on, right? So I can go back in, grow along loop, and expand and expand and expand. And of course you have the option to go in here and shrink along loop, and you can do the same thing. Okay, so there you have it. And you can see that the manipulation, so the movement hasn't been pushed back, but you can see that the number of edges has reduced. All right, so these are just a couple of neat little selection tricks I wanted to share with you guys, and that's it for this Deep Dive Monday, and see you guys next time. Bye. Well, thanks for watching, and before you go, please hit that MH button to subscribe, okay? See you guys next time. Bye.